Hey, you guys, this is Shelly with Go and Grow Podcast, and I have my co-host here.
Taking care of the one and only.
You already know. So, how you feeling today, Kev?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I feel good. So, dang, when I was about to say that, like, I feel like we always have like an automatic like answer. Like, how you feeling? Like, oh, I'm good. I feel like I was just about to go there, but I feel rejuvenated. I had a long week last week, and like it was really stressful. And then Monday, I took the whole day off and I didn't do anything, like nothing at all. Didn't talk to nobody, and like I needed that. I didn't feel like I was like back yet, so I kind of like got back into it a little bit, like for Tuesday. But like I feel like now today's Wednesday, I feel rejuvenated. Like I took time for me to get me back right, and I feel like a lot of people don't do that enough. Like they don't take time for themselves. Like they don't take time to like get back to a sense of normality. Like being around so many different people and like so many different emotions and feelings. Like how do you feel? How do you feel? Like what is normal for you? You know what I'm saying? So, but I feel rejuvenated. I feel really rejuvenated. I feel happy. I feel like I'm at peace. And like my mind's not all over the place. I feel really good. I feel
I like
good.
that.
How do you know when you're happy? How do you know when you're feeling your best self?
I know when I'm feeling my best self, for one, when I feel like my all is in God, like where I, as I'm human, I may have some unbelief, but where I'm strong on the belief, so it kind of outweighs whatever could be an unbelief of me. And also when I'm able to just smile every day, like, and even though I smile, I'm saying smile as far as all day, even when I'm alone, even, and just be in great spirits all the time. When I'm able to have those conversations with people that don't make me think about how I wasn't happy, you know what I'm saying? Or what's going on that makes me not happy. Like when I can be in a solid foundation of, oh, like this actually feels good. Like, and I feel like I'm more happy when I'm in my zone. Heck, when I get to do stuff like this, like I feel like that's when I can be really, really happy because I'm enjoying my craft. I'm enjoying things that I feel like I'm great at. Like I enjoy speaking to people, and that's when I feel like God put us on this earth to serve, and He put us on this earth to tell our story. And I definitely want to get into that, kind of like a little to us telling our story too, but telling our stories and just really uplifting. And I feel like the more people I can touch, the more happy it makes me. And also with my daughter, like when I see her happy, when I see the joy, when I see the love, when she clings to me, it makes me happy. So yeah.
How do you? That's good. That's good. I'm gonna get some soul snaps to that. A lot of people don't like take the time to like figure out like how like normal or like good feels for them. Like if it's with a partner or if it's like with the family or school. Like there's always something that's going on. Like how do you get back to like a sense of like your belief or like your happiness or your peace? Like how do you go and find that and get back to that space?
Get on my knees and I say, God, I am not there. I'm not okay. I am scared. I am becoming weary. Whatever it is I'm feeling, I'm just honest. Like God already knows. So it's not like you can hide it. Oh, I'm not here. Like He already knows. So I feel like the more you're honest with Him, the more He can do with that. And for me, I get on my knees. I cry if I have to. I scream if I have to. And sometimes when I'm talking to God, I don't like go off on God, of course not. But I'm like, I'm angry, I'm upset, like, you know, and I'm just truthful with whatever feeling and that I'm in. And I'm like, God, I don't want to sit here. So I need you to do what you gonna do. I need you to tell me what you promised us is what you promised us. And right now, I need you to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Because I know when I'm going on a down spiral, and because now I know when I'm going on a down spiral, I know how to get it together instead of just letting myself go.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that actually helps me is making other people feel loved, because it reminds me of who God called me to be. And I love to make people happy. Like, I love to make people smile, love to make them happy. I love for them to feel like, if it's nobody they can feel like has a pure heart in their life, I want them to be able to see me and see God through me. And when I feel like I'm making that difference in a lot of people's lives, it brings me back to Him. And so I feel like that, or I will be talking to, you know, somebody I really love or care about, and I'm pouring into them, and then they give me good news based on our talk that we had, or whatever the case may be, allows me to get back to God and say, I know you're going to do it for me, you know, and kind of just, you know, just knowing that God is good no matter how my life is going. Like, God was on that boat sleeping. So for me, it's like, I could sleep through all of this storm. And it may get heavy, but I feel like you always got to find a focal point. Like, you gotta, like how they tell you in dance, like, if you're gonna spin, you gotta find something on the wall or something that you can look for, so that you can spin constantly without getting dizzy and falling. And I feel like it's the same thing. You gotta find what brings you back all the time, because there's some things may bring you back sometimes, but sometimes it may not work. So you need to find that one thing that brings you back, and it shouldn't be a person. And the reason why I say it shouldn't be a person, because that person died tomorrow, what you gonna do?
Ooh, that's it.
So, because I could say my daughter, but what if my daughter grow up and decide she don't need her mama no more? You know, just whatever, you know what I'm saying? God forbid. But I'm just saying, so if that's the way that I find back to it, if that leaves, I won't find it. So now it's like me figuring out how I can come back when I am growing weary and when I'm losing it, to be back. And I feel like my biggest thing is to get on my knees and cry and shout and say, I am not, whatever it is, I cannot do it. I don't know what to do. Please give me direction. I am losing it. I think I'm about to explode. Whatever it is, be honest. And I feel like the honesty on my knees, God, I feel like He answers that fast when I do that, and He brings me back, like, snap out of it. Something happened, and then they get me back. I think that's my thing that makes me get back to happiness.
That's so good. That's so good, because I think that us as men should take note of that, because we try to put a lot of stuff on our back, and that's why we see a lot of men dying quickly at younger ages. Stress, anxiety, depression, like trying to take literally the world on and like handle it. That's it. And I think that's like really good to take that page out of your book, because surrender is a continual word. It's like, I don't have it. Like, I really ain't got it today.
Exactly. Like, and I feel like, but I do feel like you, as men, y'all have to give yourselves grace too, because in the world, it makes it to where a man can't be vulnerable, like on the outside, in the flesh, not in the spirit, but in the fleshly world. Yes, it's like a lot of men can't have a break, because they're supposed to be this superhero, or this person who can't be vulnerable, this person who doesn't feel comfortable being vulnerable, or the outside is already beating him up, and then he got to come home. I feel like a lot of women, well, not even a lot, just some women, I should say, don't know how to be a man's safe haven. And also, men don't know how to learn a woman's love language so she can be the safe haven. And so I feel like finding that middle ground, because like, I plan to be whoever I decide to get with or marry, I plan to be their safe haven, like a safe place they can go to and know that even when the world is attacking them, I'm here for you. Whether we're at odds or whatever the case may be, I want you to know, no matter what, that I got your back, and that I'm here for you, and I'm willing to listen, instead of just, I'm not listening to respond. I'm listening to understand, because I care about you and I actually want to know how you're feeling. And I feel like being that person allows room for a man to breathe, so that he doesn't feel like he has to carry the world on his back.
Yeah, I think we got to be careful too, because it's like, that's how what happens with certain men. It's just like they get into the relationship, and then something happens where it's cheating, or if it's like they break up or whatever the case may be, and then the safe haven is gone. And it's just like, I feel like men have to find safety for themselves,
of course,
through God. before anything else.
Exactly.
Like they got to find it for themselves, and they got to want it for themselves. They got to know that safety in Christ is doable.
Exactly.
It's doable. So like when I think about that, it's just like peace, like true peace, being at peace. Like my good friend, she says this, and I live by these words. Like, I don't do anything that doesn't feel good, and I don't work with anybody I don't trust. And it's just like, I think that is simple. Like, it's a simple philosophy. But like the things in life that you do should feel good. Like, even if you don't feel like doing it, like the outcome or the result of it should feel good. When I think about like the things that we go through on a day-to-day basis, like for you and what you just said, like I think that that's so powerful. But like you've accomplished and you've gotten through like 100% of your bad days, and you still here standing to be able to tell your testimony, even if you may be in the midst of it now. Like you done got through 110% of your bad days.
Yeah.
Like, so what, I mean, because you've already given it to God, like what tangible things, if it's journaling or whatever the case may be, like could you give, or practical tips that could you give to like people about like how to overcome like a bad day?
So hopefully by this episode, my book is I'm a self-published author, and hopefully it's published by the time this comes out. But for me, I started to push into my book. And my book started when I wasn't in good spaces. I was in horrible spaces when I started my book. And I wrote down what I went through in a poetry form. And I described it spiritually as I grew. That's why I needed it to come out now. But that helped me to know that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to sit in it. And also journaling, like, saying I am upset, I am mad, I am this. Like, I feel like something about writing it down, something about seeing it is, oh my goodness, it just makes it feel so much more real that you can release it. It makes you feel like I can let this go. Versus, especially that nighttime journaling, like when you already deep in your thoughts. I feel like nighttime allows you to be deep in your thoughts, especially if you're at home by yourself. And I feel like, for real, I feel like when you get that pen and you just start jotting down whatever it is, what you feel, what you want, what you want to pray to God for, whatever the case may be, what you're thankful to God for. And I feel like when you start doing that, you look back on that after even a month or a few weeks, you realize how God has kept you. And I feel like that gets you through the bad days that are about to come. Because it realized and shows you that I already got through, like you said, 90%, or I already got through these bad days. So the devil can't have me.
Right.
So I'm going to get through the rest with, as long as I keep God on my side. And I feel like also a big thing that I feel like people should say is, God, please change the desires of my heart. And even when you're in doing wrong, say, I'm the righteousness of God. And don't say, God, I'm not going to do it again, because I feel like that's cliche, and I feel like God knows you're going to do it again. So instead of saying, I'm not going to do it again, I'm not going to do it again, knowing that your heart has not shifted yet, it's just saying like, God, I'm the righteousness of God, and I know this is not of you, but right now I'm not ready to change. Because my pastor had brought up something like smoking weed, and it was like a guy, and he was like, are you ready to change? He said no. And I felt like I was at a place where I wasn't ready to change certain things, and God started to change the desires of my heart, because I always asked him to change the desires of my heart. So we have free will. He gonna let you do what you're gonna do, and you're gonna come back to him. You're gonna delay your process and come back to him, whatever. But I asked God, no, I need you to change the desires of my heart. I don't want to be like this anymore.
That's good.
And I feel like that allows you to be happy. I don't want to be sad anymore. I don't want to be stressed anymore. I don't want to be depressed anymore. Like, I don't want to live a life unfulfilled and leave this earth feeling unfulfilled, and leave this earth feeling like I didn't do what I needed to do in Christ. And so I feel like if you start asking, please align myself up with your word, and make my desires your desires, and and I am the righteousness of God, and although I may not be doing what I need to do right now, allow me to grow into that. And I feel like that will help you. And if you completely say that, or find a scripture that will just help you to get back to it and stop condemning yourself. I feel like the more you condemn yourself, the more you, like, conviction is brung on you because it's God convincing you that his word is what's best for you. But condemnation can lead to destruction because you're condemning yourself for everything. We're not under performance-based law. So you're thinking that if you do this, he's not gonna love you. He loved you even when you was busting them wide open. He loved you even when you was doing this over here. He loved you even when you was doing this over here. He still loves you through it all. He knew that we weren't gonna keep them 10 commandments, baby. He knew that. But it's like, it doesn't give you an excuse to just do bad things forever. You still should want to grow and become the best version of yourself. And I think that you should just always ask God to grow you. Never stop asking for growth, you know? And I think that's the best way back to your happiness, or back to finding some sense of peace, and not thinking that because people are your parents, your family, your friends, even your children, that you have to tolerate being in the midst of destruction because who they are to you. Because that will take away from your peace. Even your child father, or the mother of your kids. Do not stand in the midst of destruction, but do not treat them bad because of what they did to you, because what they're doing is not personal to you, it's personal to them. And I feel like, don't become them because you don't like who they were, because now you just look like them. If you look yourself in the mirror, you look just exactly how they look, just different timing. And so I feel like you can ask God to change the desires of their heart while you keep a distance, because you ain't going to stay in that form. You ain't going to stay in the destruction. And I feel like that's what will help bring your peace and your happiness. So
I agree. I think you're 1,000% right. I think a lot of people, like, they stumble upon God rather than like going to seek God. And it's not that it's too late. It's just interesting that when you do, like, I find these Bible thumpers and people that's just like, oh, you shouldn't do this. I didn't give my life to Christ, and boom, boom. Like, so I get that. And it's just like, I love the way that you put it. Like, God's grace and mercy is upon us, but it doesn't give you the right to go ahead and do those things consistently. And then when you ask for forgiveness, it's just like, Lord, forgive me for this. And like, I cast that out. I cast that away. Like, allow me to never return to that. Like, make my heart whole.
Exactly.
So it's just like, speak those things as though they are. And I think those like are beautiful things to say, but it's just like, we have to believe the things that we say, just like we believe, and like we believe in the word, like we believe in God. But like, how do we go about like implementing those things on like a day-to-day basis? Because a lot of people just go to church and then they go and do what they want to do the other 6 days out of the week.
Exactly.
So like, I like that fact that we go to Bible study with DJ, like, and I think that's so powerful, because like, not only is that like when two or more are gathered, like we studying the word, but like we're actually friends as well. And you're creating a circle of people that like want to worship God. And it's like, even though I might not be there, with abstinence, like you can borrow the perspective of other people and be like, well, I didn't think about it that way. And it's just like,
and it's so helpful.
It is. It's beneficial.
Non-judgment too. You got to get those, I would say this, you got to get those friends who are not judging you off of where you are.
Yeah.
Because this is the thing. I forgot who said this, but God hides your value from certain people because they're, for one, not going to come with you to where God has called you, because you can't bring a committee to where God has called you. It's certain people that God has aligned for you to go with you. And it's certain people he's going to bring along the way. And so it's like, you have to be mindful of those people, because they don't see your value because it's hidden. But the people who see your value is the people who God has to go with you. And you got to make sure that you don't take what they say in help and in accountability or in love the wrong way. Because then you can perceive what they have for you.
That's good.
In a complete different way.
That's good. Even
though they meant that out of love. And when you learn people's nature, you know what they mean out of love. And you can let them know, I didn't like how you said that. But you still can take what they said. And my friend was just telling me this. We was in a car and he was saying, like, even if you don't like what they said, he was basically kind of putting in the form of a man leading. He said a lot of women want a man to lead, but once he leaves or he says something in a way you don't like, now you're willing to rebuttal and now you want to go bat at him. And it's not always about how he says it. He's not perfect, so he's not going to say everything right. But it's take what he has out of it. Like my grandmother said something to me, and at a time it was very hurtful, but my cousin told me, don't always focus on what they're saying as far as how it sounds to you or who it's coming from. Focus on what God meant for good in that. And so when he said that, at first I'm like, that's like a man trying to rule you, whatever. Like, I don't really like that. You know what I'm saying? But then when I start thinking about what he was actually saying, I'm like, that's actually valid. And if it's a man for real, he's not even going to disrespect you. So that means that what he's going to say is going to come from a loving place.
Got it.
And it's not always going to sound good to the ear. Nothing always going to sound good to the ear, especially when you're doing wrong. Does it sound good for somebody to tell you you're doing wrong?
No.
You know? So it's like when he said that and I got home and I sat in it and I'm like, dang, like, that was right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like, I had to send him a message like, you know, I'm thankful for you in ways that you don't know, because once I get to thinking about what somebody said, because I listen, and now I feel like I'm so happy I listen now, because I did years ago used to listen to just respond because I wanted to say, but, and I kept cutting them off because now I want to talk because I already have something to say to what that means I didn't never even listen for real in the first place. But now I'm to a point where I listen enough to hear what you got to say so I could take that in, and I feel like you don't always gotta look at, oh, he said this, so I'm upset. Like, stop, get out your feelings, take the E out of emotion and get some motion about what you're doing, and just do what they said. Just do what was said. Like E.T. said, do what's said and it'll happen. You feel me? Like, and I feel like he's not meaning it in bad intentions. He's meaning it as he been in the trenches and he's telling you how to get it whichever way your trenches is to get up out that. And I feel like you gotta hold tight of those friends. And you gotta put yourself where you see yourself. So you gotta put yourself in a room with those people who believe in God. Even some further in Christ than you, some not, some prophets, some apostles, some just, you know, we don't figuring out our calling or figuring out our gifts and things like that. I feel like it all matters. And I feel like if you believe that nobody's further than you in Christ, you're doomed. Because why would God have prophets? Why would God have apostles? Yes, every believer has some form of prophecy that they will be able to do, but that doesn't make you a prophet. And so God has called that prophet to be that. You may never be a prophet. He may have you travel the world and speak and do certain things, but you may not be a prophet. So he may be able to be in a spiritual realm you never met, you never been. Think about how people spend all these years. My neighbor told me, he said, I spent all these years and I feel like I don't even know my gift or purpose, but I feel like you do. And he's a lot older than me. So it's just like you can learn from all ages, and I just feel like to put yourself in spaces where it can allow you to be happy. It can allow you to grow. And also doing stuff for yourself. I feel like self-care is important. Because if you're not taking care of you, who else you gonna take care of?
I think that goes into the point of like reflecting, like understanding, like and understanding like what's going on with you. But like, where's God calling you to be in this season? Like sometimes the place that you are is preparing you for where God is trying to propel you to. And it's just like a lot of people be out of position because they don't have motion. Like you think about a quarterback. The quarterback isn't throwing the ball to the receiver. Like the quarterback is throwing the ball to a spot. Like if you think about God, like God wants us to go and grow. So in order for us to collect the harvest and reap the harvest, like we have to be running towards where God is calling us to be. And I think that's so big. Like that's so big. So like when I think about reflection, it's like we don't think and we don't give ourselves enough credit as to like where we've come from and being in the world, building our relationship with Christ. We may fall a little bit along the way, but like we're building the foundational piece for something that's so much bigger, like to save souls and bring like people to the kingdom of God. And it's a beautiful thing, but like I just don't think that we give ourselves enough credit because we don't sit down and reflect enough. Like my boy Don was just telling me, we had an event this past weekend. He came and helped out, and he did a phenomenal job. One of the things that really stood out to me is he's like, like, do you reflect? And he kept asking me that every day. It was like a 3 or 4 day event. And he's like, do you reflect? Because I don't think that you understand how powerful and amazing that you are. Like, sometimes there are, like you spoke about, people see the God in you like bigger, and they see like your presence than God's presence in you, like in like mortal or worldly situations and atmospheres. So like, I appreciated him speaking to the God in me, because it's just like, although I don't see it, like, you can go ahead and reward someone with like the praise of a situation. It's like, I see you for what you're creating, because like, I would say that my skill set is media, but my gift is vision. So like, I appreciate those people that I see going further with. Like, I appreciate those people that visualize, that see it, and then they actually speak to it and they affirm it. And like, those are the people that I want to be around. Those are the people that I want to grow up with. And that's what I truly appreciate that. And when I think about a circle, it's just like, it's all reciprocal. It's like, it's always coming back. It's always like, if it hits here, it's like, it's coming right back. So like, when you talk about God is in the neighborhood, God is in the atmosphere, like, it's all reciprocal. So what I tell them is like, for me, because I know that I'm doing the work, and sometimes I might not always be on fire, but I always tell them to stay close to the fire, because it's hot over here. Like, it's hot over here. We working. So like, just stay close to the fire, because like, when God is doing something amazing in my life, like, like, clap for me. Like, your applause is going to get you like
where you need to go.
That's it. So like, it's a beautiful thing, and I want to be around more people like that. But I do say that the people that don't clap, or the people that like, I feel like, you know, should be, or the time I spend with them and I want to grow up with them, it's just like, well, God is like, you know, calling this season to a halt, or this chapter to a pause. Yeah. And it's just like, dang. You know, so I'm learning to like not take possession of the worldly things, and like, where God is calling me is like fruitful in relationships. Like, I'm rich in relationships. Like, I'm rich in kindness. I'm rich in patience. And like, a lot of the things, I know that I'm a rich man.
I believe and receive it.
So it's like, and it's already done. I feel like the things that are materialistic is like something that I can't take with me. But I don't plan to. But like, when I pour it into my people around me, like, watching them flourish and like blossom is like a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that's like, that really means a lot to me. That really means a lot to me.
And I know that means a lot. And I want to also give you your flowers for even just helping me with the idea that I had to do this, you know, to be my co-host. And because I remember my brother told me about 3 years ago, do a podcast. And I'm like, well, I don't know if people even listen to me. Like, what is he talking about? But he's seen something in me that I didn't see in myself, like you said. And then like, when we had that time at Bible study, and we were talking, and this how this came about, and just to know that even though you have a busy schedule, you're willing to stick it out with me, and then I know that sometimes if I have a thought, like, I could do it, you know, by myself, you know, sometimes too, but I'm just saying, to even have the platform, to even have the items that looks presentable to the eye, and be willing to pour into what I believe, even though you have a lot of what you're already doing, because like you said, your gift is media. Even though this is part of media, I just feel like, even though you have so many other things you could be doing, or so many other things you could put on your calendar, you decided to make this something that you wanted to be a part of. And so I appreciate that. And I thank you for that, because I don't really always have people in my life. Oh, this is going to make me a little emotional, but I don't really always have people in my life that I feel like actually cares, or actually sees something in me that, like, you know, even at times I don't see it, or see it when I do see it. And then I'm trying to push. And as a mom doing it by herself, it gets hard, it gets heavy. And to feel like I'm out here by myself, or I don't really have that much people to pour into me, it can kind of get very hard. So knowing that you have someone who's willing to do this, do something you love, because I really, really love talking to people and doing for someone to see the vision and where something can go, and do it with me and with great excellence, and doesn't making it seem like I'm bugging them, or doesn't make it seem like I'm a hassle. I feel like that's a very beautiful thing, and I do want to give you your flowers for that, because I feel like that takes great courage, knowing that you have a lot on your plate, to be willing to be a part of something bigger than you and be a part of something that I wouldn't say doesn't serve you, but isn't your main goal. Like, you didn't decide, I'm gonna do a podcast, you get what I'm saying? So it wasn't your main goal, and for you to make it something that is important to you because it's important to your friend, I think that speaks volumes.
Thank you. I received that. I'm working on my receiving in the season, and I thank you. She was about to make me get all up in my feelings and my emotions and everything like that.
I was getting mine too. That's why I was like,
I receive it. I receive it, though. I thank you, and I love your diligence. I love your consistency. Like, even the message that you had sent me, it was like, that was a stern message. I appreciate. She sent me this message, y'all. She was like, I'm doing this, and I know you may not see it as that, but like, I want to let you know that if we're gonna do it, we got to do it the right way. And I'm like, okay, I can take this one or two ways. Like, who you talking to? Or I respect that, and it's like, either remove myself from like being in this girl's way and let her know what it is, or like help her go and do what she wants to do and what she needs to do and what she's being called to do. So I decided to do that, and like, it's up, and I appreciate your diligence. I appreciate your consistency, everything that you growing through right now, and like, continue to make this a priority. Like, I'm glad I could be on this journey with you.
Thank you, because I was scared. I didn't really want to send a message. I'm like, but then it was like a sermon I heard, and it said, be intentional, tell the truth, tell how you feel, and when something's important to you, and it's not saying somebody put it on a back burner, but that's not their vision, that's not their goal, so it's not going to be in the same light as it would be for you to do your media and you go do videography and travel the world and do that. And because it was like, God had came to me and was like, you're gonna either have to be intentional or you're gonna have to stop it. Because if you're not going to be able to tell people real or tell them how you feel when you feel like, because they're helping you or they're being a part of something that you truly believe in, if you're not going to be able to tell them like, hey, this is what we're going to need to do, then you're not going to make it far in what you're doing. Because if you want to travel the world, you're going to have to be stern. Like, if I want to be a motivational speaker around the world like I do, I'm going to have to be stern, and everything that I bring to the table has to be stern. And so it was just like God saying, I'm preparing you now, so now you have to do it with someone who's close to you, your friend. And so it was just like, dang, I don't want to send a message. And then I sent it. And I was like, okay. Cool. You know what I'm saying?
Because like, the biggest thing is like, some will, some won't, so what? Right. Like, you got to keep it pushing. Like, and don't let nobody get in your way. Like, a lot of people would be afraid to step on certain people's toes, but you can do it respectfully. Like, you can be stern about something and let them know you about your business. And the fact that they're emotional about it, like, I got everything to do with them and nothing to do with you. And it's just like, the sooner we have those uncomfortable conversations, the sooner we can see that this was nothing but a hiccup along the journey of like where I'm going. Exactly. So it's just like, you know, they either get with it or get out the way. Get lost, so I appreciate and I respect that. So we rocking this thing out. Yeah. But my question, one of my final questions, and we get ready to wrap this thing up. But when I think about life, because we talk about life be lifing, and yeah. Like, and then having a family, and then you talk about dating, and then you talk about keeping your social life because you love your friends and everything like that. Balance. Like, how do you find balance, like, in your day-to-day world, like studying the word and like making time for this and like, how do you go about like making and creating balance in your life as a mom, as a great friend, as an entrepreneur? Like,
I feel like, honestly, there's no true balance. I feel like you can plan, you can be strategic, but God's plan may wipe everything that you planned on a board away. You know, and I feel like it's no true balance. I feel like you can get as close to balance as possible, but I don't feel like it's any true balance, especially like with being a mom, and because things happen, your kid can get sick, and that may alter your schedule. You may have to do something for your kid, take them to the doctor, whatever the case may be, and that may alter your schedule. You may have to have some plans with your friends, but you can't do it because now your kid needs attention that you have to give. let's say you may have wanted to take your kid to a fun little thing, but now your gift and your dream and vision that God called for you to do is calling, and you have to go do a big move. So at that moment, you have to sacrifice having that fun day with your kid. Not saying that you take away, you make time for your family if that's your priority, which is mine, to take care of my kid, and but also knowing that it's a time where you got to be away from your kid, and knowing that you're going to make sacrifices through every walk of life. Is going to be sacrifices. And I feel like the balance is knowing that you have to make sacrifices, and you have to make them, and you have to know when to make them and when not to make them in certain situations, because it's like, I can make this sacrifice to go out, but is that going to help me or hurt me? And if I think about it like that, I can know if I could choose this or this. Now, if it's nothing on the schedule, then you can choose what you want. But if it's to choose something that's going to further you and something that's just for pleasure right now, the further you. So I just feel like the real balance in life is knowing that there's no true balance, but you just got to do it. And you just got to do it with great excellence, and you got to maneuver, and you can plan and put things on your schedule. But that changes. It shifts. Life moves. Things happen. Right? Everything, happens. So I feel like plan to the best of your ability, but know that don't try to get too strict on creating a balance in your life that you don't realize what God is calling, because God makes everything flow. So it's like, if you allow God to lead, you won't be in your mind so much about creating your own balance. You'll allow God to balance you out.
Right.
And that would just be like God putting you on that smooth slope, instead of you putting yourself on it and then you go boop boop, you driving in a car and you on a hill, you go boop boop boop. That's what you're gonna do, because you're gonna be trying to create your own zone, your own whatever, and allow God to create that. And so I feel like, there's really no, especially when becoming a mom, I was like, balance. What does that really even look like?
I feel like, because I just feel like life is a balancing act. Like, it's not even like about, like, I feel you on the balance, but like, it's a balancing act. It's like keeping things afloat.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Even you think like, because God, big G, heavy, real heavy.
Big.
And I feel like, you feel me? And I feel like little G as us is like, there's nothing that can compare to that, but like, he's within us. So it's just like, we do hold some weight. So when you talk, and even with marriage, like a lot of people talk about 50-50. And it's just like, from my thought process, I don't think that marriage is 50-50, because I might only have 20 today as a husband. So it's
and you might have to do the 80.
So I feel like it's a balancing act. It may not necessarily be at even or equal exchange, but like, and that's what I want, like, in a partner, is like, as long as I have somebody that's willing to do the work with me, I want somebody to do the work with me. Like, people ask me, do I want kids? And like, I don't want kids. Like, I want a family.
Exactly.
And, like, it's a difference.
And I feel like, as long as it doesn't weigh you down.
Yeah.
So it's some sort of finding the balance, but knowing that it will change. And that's why I say that it's no true balance, because even if I find that balance and we're on a balance beam and we're both here, tomorrow it may be.
Yeah.
And so that's why I say it's really no true balance, but you can get as close to it as possible.
Yeah.
So you can plan, you have a calendar, you have a planner, you put things down, you write things down, you're perfect for it. You got a calendar for everything. You got a calendar for life. Just you're fun, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's a good way to get closest to balance as you can.
Yeah.
But knowing that, don't be so stuck on balance to the point where when it doesn't go that way, you're freaking
frantic.
out. You know what I'm saying? It's just like knowing that it does shift, it does change, and it's not always going to be a balance, which is why I say it's no real balance. Okay. And so that's what I feel. And I think I like that when you say you don't want kids, you want a family. And I feel like that's important, because I never said I wanted kids before I had my daughter. I said it when I was like a jit, but I didn't say it when I was old enough. I didn't want a kid. I'm gonna be honest. I'm thankful and I love my daughter to the core. But if they would ask me, is that what I wanted? No.
Right.
But I love it and I needed her. But I didn't want that at that time or with that person. And the person, her dad is not a bad person. Like, you know what I'm saying? We just aren't meant for each other. And I feel like, but I needed to go through that season to figure out where I needed to do next and how, and to figure myself out. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like it helped me a lot. So I feel like creating a family is important, just instead of just having a baby mama or a baby daddy, and you don't have no foundation for real. You don't have nothing set for real. You don't have nothing in nothing. You just it's just, oh, it's just my baby daddy, it's my baby mama. We broken up, like, and there's so many people broken up and not with their baby mama, baby daddy. And I don't think you should stay with somebody you shouldn't. But it's just like, dang, create that family.
No, I feel absolutely, because I was looking at and I gotta find it again, like the statistics on like black marriages or marriage back then to like marriage. They don't want to see the black family as a whole together. That's too powerful.
See that. Look that up. I want to know.
They don't want to see that.
Because I never knew that, like, statistic or nothing. I knew it was different for sure. Because in the old days, they stuck together through thick and thin. I ain't gonna lie. But sometimes I feel like they stuck together through stuff they shouldn't. But I also feel like I feel like also in the old times, they didn't get to know each other enough. They were just programmed in a certain form to where they worked whatever out with each other. Yeah. But I also feel like it was some things that they shouldn't have tolerated that they did. Yeah. So it's still certain things that I feel like this new age has learned from in a healthy form and has been better. But it's also stuff in this new age that we have learned that has been can hurt us, like, in the way we think. And I just feel like it is very powerful to find what works, find what works and hold on to it. Like, just like success.
I agree. It says U.S. marriage rates have been on the decline since the 20th century. Like they said, these numbers are interesting. But it says 34% of black men were married in 2021. Only 28% of black women were married. But for our white counterparts, 55% of men were married, and 52% of women were married. So more than 48% of like us like weren't like getting it together as far as black. And then it talks about like 2015 through 2019. The District of Columbia had the lowest percentage of married black adults in 2015 through 2019. Like, so and I don't even want to get into divorce, but like it's just like having options and not just being with one person is like
crazy.
It's different.
It's like, and it's just like, now this is what I do feel like. I feel like you do have those options at the beginning, but I feel like when you establish something, the option should go away. And I don't feel like you should just always, I don't think you should have nobody in a coattail. You shouldn't have nobody that you could just think of when y'all leave, because I feel like that's a plot. Now, I'm not saying it's not somebody who ain't gonna be trying to get at you once you leave, but I'm saying it shouldn't be someone in the back of your head already if it doesn't work out. I feel like you should give your all to something that you really want to work and allow God to use it, and God will soften their heart and yours, but also God will build your heart if it doesn't end up being for you. And I feel like we gotta get better with that, and not just feeling like everything you need 7 people to do that. Like, oh, I like her, but I like her and her too a little bit. Or I like her, she the main chick, but I like these little few attributes about this girl.
Yeah, but see, we taught like not to put all our eggs in one basket. Like, we're taught that.
And I believe that at the beginning. I do believe that at the beginning, because it's a crazy game out here. So for me, I could kind of be contradicting, I don't know, but I feel like at the beginning, I do not like to put all my eggs in one basket, because it's just like, after 2 weeks, I'm like, I don't like him no more.
So you believe in dating multiple men at a time? I agree. I agree in dating multiple women at a time.
I just don't believe that it's ethical to be having sex with a lot of people at the same time. But I'm not going to say that I don't understand it because you get intertwined with that, and that's probably why it's hard. You get intertwined with all these people, and you may like certain attributes, you may let them get close, then temptation comes. If you're not strong enough for the temptation, you're gonna fall for it, and then you're gonna do what you do.
And for me, I think it's a discipline thing, because I agree to a certain extent. Like, I don't want my focus to be stretched in too many different places. And like, especially with me building a business, about to become a homeowner, like I think about like the priorities that I have in life. So prioritizing dating in this season has been interesting, because God told me to remove like prioritizing dating. Like, I have to more so prioritize myself in preparation of who I'm going to become to attract what it is that I want. Yeah. So, and when dating, right? So it's just like, don't just go out here like quantity, like get as many dates and yeses as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, nah, like you.
And it's so unfulfilling. I'm not gonna lie though. Like, even though I believe in not having all your eggs in one basket at the beginning, it's so unfulfilling because it can become draining, because it's like so many different energies you got to deal with. You got to respond. And I already don't even be into like talking to like people on dating level, like, because it just be like blah, and so it's just like you get into these things, like these fields with them, and you feel like, oh, you gotta hang out with them because now they're on your team, basically, or the roster, whatever. And it's just like,
shout out to the team.
It gets it gets so annoying and unfulfilled that it is so much easier to only talk to one person, but it's so hard because niggas and females don't be talking about nothing nowadays. And it's a lot of great people, but it's a lot of not so great people. And so it's like maneuvering through them. It's like, dang, like if I had 5 when I realized he wasn't good, I could, still be talking to the other ones. And I feel like it's always going to be someone you're going to put at a higher pedestal though. Yeah. But it's just like, dang, like, but then also it's just like, if I got all these folks and it's one person I put at a higher pedestal, it's probably because they didn't do what they needed to do. So they're probably going to end up falling off anyways.
So, okay. So I get you. Because what I've done is like my philosophy has changed from like dating multiple people to like get to a conclusion quicker. Like, so, and it comes with intentionality. It's just like, all right, you want to be married, but you don't want kids. All right, you out of there. You know what I'm saying? You talk about having a hot girl summer, but you want to be married with children, but you still want to have your fun, and you want your cake, you want to do it. It's like, you're teeter-totter in between a married life and like not, and still being single. And it's just like, you're confused right now, so let me go ahead and like, this ain't the conversation. I'm not trying to persuade you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So like, let's just cut this short. I'm not in the convincing game.
Exactly.
So let's go ahead and cut this short. So like, people, you got to be careful of the people that want you around through their process. Like, I'd rather be intentional about the people that are on the same page as me. And if some of our lower level views aren't the same, then that's where we can compromise and we can kind of get on the same page. But if our like key values and core values are in alignment, and like the faith and God, I think that's where like I can kind of get with the conversation and like
to fill them out.
Exactly.
I agree, because I feel like you can't just knock them off like, that ain't it. Like, I ain't gonna lie, mine's is he got too much kids out.
That's cool. And I said the same thing. I now don't date women with children.
Yeah, like, and that's okay. See, and for me, I feel like it's kind of like, you got kids, how you gonna not date? And I ain't gonna lie, like 1 or 2 kids for me, or 3 maybe, like, it's not that much. When it gets to a lot, you gotta come with a lot if you're gonna have a lot of kids. Yeah. You feel me? Like, I can't, because that's a lot, like, to take on for someone who only has 1 kid. And so for me, it's like, I'm definitely not against dating with people with kids. Like, I love kids. I actually think I would prefer that versus someone who don't have kids. And I think the reason why is, and I'm saying like a person who loves on their kids, because I feel like you already know how to be that nurturing parent or how to be that parent versus someone who's figuring it out, who don't know nothing yet. Yeah. And so I actually kind of think I like a person with kids nowadays as I get older, just not multiple kids.
And on that tip, like I'm because I said I don't date women with kids. Like, I'm more receptive to like, it's not my plan, it's God's plan. Like, I'm more receptive to like, if I met someone that met all these core values, but my game changer, or like my big pet peeve was like the fact that they had kids, but like everything else is checked. Like, I think that's where it's just like I go into prayer as well, but like Lord, give me a sign. Like if this is the one, like let it be known, because I actually had a prophetic word that was spoken over my life that like you keep choosing and you choose wrong. So in the season of your dating, like continue to prepare yourself and I'll choose for you, because you have such a big heart. Like you give and you're willing to help just because of the heart that you have. So it's just like if you choose, you'll choose wrong. And I didn't like that. But it took time to come to grips with that.
To understand that.
I wasn't feeling that one.
And you know what else I figured out? Don't be so quick to judge where you feel like someone is by what they say, because you may be along the same lines, but you haven't evaluated yourself yet. Yeah. Because it's like, I could be like, oh, you're not healed from this. But I may not be healed. It may not be a relationship part that I'm not healed from, but it may be something in my past that I'm not healed from that can hinder a relationship. Yeah. And it's like not being so quick to jump the gun and being like, well, he or she ain't in where I'm at. Like, or I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that because he's still battling this. But it's like, you still battling this over here, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's something I've been learning when it comes to dating a person, because now I think with friendships, it's not about, oh, you're not here, you're not there. It's about alignment to me, and if our visions align. But I feel like with men, it's like y'all can have the same direction in what y'all want and be saying it in two different ways and be coming to it in two different forms. And I had to learn that. It's because if, like I was saying, you're healing different, I'm healing different, we're healing from different things, and we're both working on the healing, and we're both working on coming together, and it may not be at the same pace, but it's still an effort and we're working on it. And then it's like, also, we still have the same focal point. I believe that God is the center of all. You believe that God is the center of all. And I feel like that's the most important thing. And I honestly feel like if that is the case, everything else can be worked out. And even though it may be hard, but I think it's harder for a person who's not of God. And I can't do it. I can't date it. Like, I can't date a person that's not of God. And I don't mean to say it, but I can't date a person that's not of God. I can be cool and I can lead them to Christ and I can be nice and sweet to them. But the person I lay with, no, thank you. Like, it's just not for me. And it's just to each his own kind of thing. But you got that same goal, which is eventually marriage, follow Christ. Okay. Work as one. Yeah. You lead, I follow. But it's kinks in a row because we got healing in different places. Yeah. I feel like that's where you should work.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are having these conversations on like the first date. Like I'll wait till the second date to ask you about your credit. I'll wait till the third date to ask you if you believe in God, because I don't want you to be freaked out. Like you have to have standards for yourself, and you got to set boundaries. When I didn't have boundaries set for myself, like I got my space invaded. Like, and it's like I'm cool with saying it now because I've learned from it. Right. But it's just like no is a complete sentence. It's a complete sentence. Like, I don't have to explain. I ain't got to explain myself. Like, it is what it is. But, like, when you don't have any boundaries, when you're not cemented and anchored in God and Christ and the Word, like, a lot of things will go flailing and falling apart in your life. So, it's as interesting as, situations. Like, I can see this. Like, for me, like, I don't want to date someone's potential because I'll end up marrying their problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to like try these certain things. I see some good things that can really come out of this, and like I can see it working out. Like, just give it a little bit of time, and it's just like,
nope.
Like, for me, I've had to let go and let God, literally, because I found myself being the fixer and the builder, and like I can't save everybody. I'm not supposed to save this person. Yeah. Like, I got to get my hands off of it and let God.
And God may use you as the person who does bring them to Christ, which will ultimately save them. Yeah. But it's not saying you're going to be the savior to everybody or anything like that. Not like, my job. God is the savior.
That's not my role.
And God may use you as a tool to bring them to Him.
That's it.
And I feel like a lot of people don't know that, and they don't have that balance. And I feel like, yeah, like creating those boundaries, asking those uncomfortable questions, being intentional. Yeah. Being very intentional. And I'm not going to lie, the creating boundaries things is something, because I found myself being such a pure heart and such a nice person. I want to be so nice that understanding so many stories, and like you said, that potential, the thing is, you can fall for that potential and you start liking them and you're ready to leave once you didn't end up seeing it.
Yeah.
And then they do a pity party. Now it's harder for you to leave because they made you feel bad for why they ain't there yet. And then when you're already in kind of deep, you believe it.
Yeah.
Or you see it in a different lens, as if it was clear. If you didn't fall for their potential and you fall for their present and their future, because it's really their future, but you got to see what they're doing in the present to know that their future will go far. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I ain't gonna fall in love with no potential, but what I will say I can do is I can see what you're doing now, and I can say if I can deal with where you're at now. And I ask God to grow you. And as you ask God to grow me in areas, for us to come as one. But I already got to like you and see a future with you as the person you are now. With the flaws and the kinks. I can't like you, and I'll be like, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like that, I don't like that. He ain't this, he ain't that. And then I'm like, well, he could potentially be this. That's an absolute no, because he can potentially be something else. He can potentially be trash.
Potentially be trash.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, and I'm not saying I'm better than no one. I'm not saying they're bad. You're just not for me, and I'm not for you. And we gotta keep it moving.
That's it.
Period.
That's it.
Wrap it up.
That's the word.
Don't be scared to wrap it up. And I'm not just talking about in a bedroom. I'm talking about when it is not working. And I'm not saying a marriage. You gotta take time and work through that, because that's a covenant. That's different. But I'm saying when you're first dating somebody, don't be scared to be like, let me wipe my hands. This ain't it. This ain't work. And quick too. It doesn't matter how quick. You know what you know, and you know what you want. And don't dim your light for somebody else.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Because I'll tell y'all what happens is like gaslighting and like just like lighting the flames to like, you're the issue and it's really them. Like you don't want to, like, you have to be firm on your standards and your boundaries, because people will make you feel like it's your fault for having standards and boundaries, or that you don't want to do this. Or like you're not committing early enough and this and the third. Like, people be wanting marriage privileges in the dating phase. And like, that's like, we can't do that. That's not even where we at. Like, you're gonna leave, like, oh, this and the third, but we're supposed to work through this. Like, why are you quitting? So, like, you gotta be careful. Be careful of that type of language. Be careful of that.
Why are you quitting so soon? Because it's soon, and we realize that we ain't it. I feel like I found myself. This is something I feel like I can be at fault for. Is when you're getting to know someone and they're taking their time with sensitive information with you, but you're trying to push it out of them. And I found myself doing that because I can be more open if I feel comfortable with that guy. And I don't usually feel comfortable with guys that much. So I think when I do, I'm overly excited as far as so I can feel like I can like let my hair down. And where I can be vulnerable, I feel like they should be vulnerable in the same way. And sometimes it's going to take them a different process to be as vulnerable as you are, because you're like, I realize I'm more of an open person with someone that I like or care about, versus guys I realize aren't always that vulnerable just yet. I mean, they may become vulnerable for real, but I feel like a lot of them at the peak of like, not at the peak of things, but at the start of things, and when it's starting to climax, they gotta kind of work theirself up. And I feel like I kind of can be pushy on trying to figure out, and it's just because I care about you so much that I want to be there for you and kind of help you through it, and not knowing that it's not my time to help you through that, and whenever it's my time, God will present it.
That's it. And
I feel like I'm learning to not be pushy and not to make people feel like they gotta tell me whenever. So
Got you. No,
yeah,
that's key.
So what we gonna say to wrap it up, though?
What we gonna say to wrapping up? I will say.
Thank you.
So, what I'll say to wrap it up. I mean, outside of my fortune cookie.
Right.
It's like the decisions you're making now determine your destination. Like they determine where you're going. So like continue to make decision because indecision is a decision. So like start making like decisions now. If it's like right, wrong, or indifferent, like start making decisions even if you don't know what food you want to eat. Make a decision. Stand by it. Stick by it. And ride it out.
Exactly. And
Practice that.
And y'all, I do want to tell y'all, so I'm gonna tell y'all again at every, episode, but we do at the end of every episode, we're going to be opening up a fortune cookie and we're gonna say what it says and say what we believe that it means and just believe it and receive it. But I do want to say one thing before leaving as well. I want to say make sure you prioritize your happiness, because if you're not happy, you cannot make anybody else happy. And make sure you prioritize being whole and stop thinking that when you become one with someone that means that he's broken and you're broken and you come together. No, it's he's whole, I'm whole. We come together and God makes us a union, a great union and a healthy union. So remember that that's how it's supposed to go. And you got to love you before you allow anybody else to love you. So you got to look in yourself. And if you don't love you, change that before you date. And that's what I really want to say, because sometimes you just date and you don't even love yourself. And then you love them more than you, and that becomes toxic. So.
For the word.
All right. My word. That was a good word. That was really good. Okay. It says you work best when meticulous attention to detail is called for. I completely agree.
I agree too.
I completely agree. You work best when meticulous attention to detail is called for. And I feel like, meticulous.
Because you're like.
Yeah.
You're like that.
I'm logical.
Yeah,
I'm logical.
And I like that.
I'm logical. And I like, I'm okay with like turning it off and shutting it down at times. But like, for a man and as a leader, like I want my GPS to be like set on God and like where are we going, and as a result of that, like am I equipped to get us there? So like I want to make sure that the attention to detail is there, and I want to be in alignment with God. So we got the fuel, we got all the parts, we got an oil change to get to where we going, because I want to be able to lead the ship. But I want God to like guide the ship. Like, that I think that's my biggest thing. Okay, you feel me?
You feel me? That's it. Yeah. But no, it is quality rather than quantity. That matters. Do a good job. I definitely do believe that, like, the quality, the quality matters. And like we were saying, in men and women, the quality matters. So the quantity, like we were saying, don't have your eggs in one basket, like how we feel, but it's just like quality over quantity. So don't just be picking people because you want more people on your roster or more people on your team. Don't just pick people. Like, if you're gonna pick, be strategic with your picking so that you can be weeding out, like he said, like you're being able to pick, like that ain't it. I don't like that. You feel me? Versus you just, I'm picking him because he fine, or she fine, and then you realize that you got a whole group of nothing pieces for you. Pieces and puzzles that's not even for you, you know? And so I do believe in picking quality over quantity. And I can say this, I believe that picking quality over quantity can be hard. I don't feel like people talk about the hard parts of things a lot. It can be hard because it's easy to get something when you're a person that can easily pick up something. Like, so if I can easily get men, it's easy for me to get quantity. But it's not as easy for me to get quality. But because it comes easy, sometimes we take that quantity and over the quality. And we find ourselves not liking any of the quantities. And I feel like you have to be mindful with that. And I feel like to get quality, you have to give grace. You will never figure out someone's quality if you don't give them grace. Because you're going to always find something wrong. And it may be little, but it may be big. It may be little to them, big to you. You never know. And so, but you're going to always find something in somebody you're not going to like. And you got to be willing to give grace unless it goes against what you believe spiritually and morally. You got to be willing to give grace, or you're not even going to see their quality because you let them go too soon. And I think that's my thing. I posted on my friend's thing, like, I'm single because I don't give things time enough to grow into a relationship. Because I cut off too easy, because once I find something wrong, I be ready to let it go. Not because I found something that was a deal breaker. It's because I found something I didn't like. Like, your communication isn't the way I like. Bye.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not logical for real. And it's like, although yes, you want communication to be better, but if it's not complete trash, I feel like that's something you can work with and you can give grace and you can ask God. If it's somebody who you like, pray for them and pray about them.
Word.
And pray with them.
Oh,
it'll work.
More importantly.
Hello.
More importantly.
But
shout out to my friends that pray with me.
Period. Shout out to them. And to pray for me when I don't got it in me.
I ain't got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So let's take them out. You feel me? Okay, but so y'all, as y'all know, this is Shelly with Go and Grow Podcast. But go and check me out at The Lifestyle of Shelly on my YouTube. And make sure you're following and like, comment, and subscribing because I will be making another channel for my podcast. So y'all do need to stay woke and stay eyes open for it. And go check out his page for sure. He gonna tell y'all everything. Make sure you go check him out. And y'all already know. Tell him about it. Tell him about yourself.
You already know who it is. Cutting Kev, 2Ks, not too many. But yeah, y'all go ahead and check out LRP Films. That's the gang. That's the sniper gang, the shooters. And also, I definitely want to go ahead and shout out to my Bible study fam. Like, I want to say I appreciate y'all. I love the work that y'all been doing. Raven, shout out to the new baby.
Raven, shout out.
We love you.
And shout out to Nala for that new job position. I love you, girl. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We just do this to bring insight from our personal, past, present, and future thought processes and relationships and everything that we grow through and not just go through. So with that being said, that's all we got, and we are out. Peace.